what is your view on the future of Thailand?
Well, I mean, as you know, Thailand is unlikely to be a dynamic economy. It's not going to be South Korea, nor Taiwan, nor parts of China, but it can do reasonably well, and say in the long run, it could easily grow, in my view, at say 4 or 5% per annum for the next 10, 20 years, unless the whole global economy collapses. That is, you know, a possibility. But say 4 or 5% should be achievable. The question is really, will politics mess it up? You know, because there's a lot of, it's like in the US, the tensions between the Republicans and the Democrats are very high. They just can't agree on anything. And in Thailand, I don't know, the red shirts, the yellow shirts, and so forth, both have probably some good points and some bad points. For me, in my view, there is still too much corruption, and the country should liberalize more. In other words, instead of interfering in the economy, like with the rice support program, they should liberalize the markets and not support them, not control them. That would be more desirable. But in general, I mean, I'm reasonably positive. You know, if I was very negative about everything in Thailand, I wouldn't have investments here. So the fact that A, I live here when I'm not traveling, and B, that I have investments shows that I'm reasonably positive view.
What's wrong with the rice program?
Well, basically, every price support mechanism distorts the free market, and there are then unintended consequences, such as we had in the case of oil price controls in the US. There were also people that then cheated, and the same with the rice support measures here in Thailand. It then leads to an artificially high price. And we have to let prices fluctuate, and rice is not endemic to Thailand. Rice is a commodity traded all over the world. So we have a world's price, so why fix the price in Thailand? If the price should be fixed for rice, it should be fixed all over the world.
I see. What would you do or done if you were the PM, the Prime Minister of Thailand?
What I would do now?
Yes.
Well, I think that, to be quite honest, as an investor, it concerns me that, for instance, the government appoints principally people connected to Mr. Thaksin for, say, Thai International. Maybe he's the best man. I don't know. I never met the character in my life. But as an investor, I sit there and say to myself, well, to me, it sounds very strange that people who run large companies are appointed by the government, and that the government then favors people that were supportive of them. Maybe in the opposition among the yellow shirts, there are people that are more capable than he is. Who knows? I don't know. But all I'm saying is, for me, there is still a lot of so-called cronyism.
Cronyism?
Yes. In other words, I have political power, and you're a businessman, or you're someone who was at the party before with me, and I give you a good job.
I see.
And the position of power.
Position of power.
Yes.
Yes. What do you expect to see in Chiang Mai, like 5 years from now, or 10 years?
Well, the first time I came to Chiang Mai was probably in the mid-1970s. The first time I came to Thailand was 73. But I didn't come at that time to Chiang Mai. I was all the time in Pattaya. and then we bought the first property a bit outside Chiang Mai in, I think, 1980-81. And then this one, which is on the river, in 98 after the crash, because a bank was selling it. The person couldn't pay, and so the bank took it and they sold it to us. And I have to say, for me, as someone who comes here, because I mostly write here, I liked Chiang Mai the best 10, 20 years ago. Less traffic and more quiet. Now, and there's nothing we can change in the world. Economic development and progress changes the world. Now we will have a larger and larger airports, more and more flights, more and more tourists, more and more foreigners that are retiring here, and the place will become much bigger. It could easily double in size in the next, say, 10 years. And so real estate prices will continue to go up, I believe, and the economy will continue to expand. But will the lifestyle improve? That I'm not sure.
That need to be addressed. This is going to be a bit more, actually a lot more relaxed. Could you share some thought of how you groom and educate your children?
Well, it's very simple.
Yeah, as a food
I
for
only
thought.
have one daughter, so it's not much to educate. No, and she's now 30 years old. But I met my wife, who is Thai, in Hong Kong, I think in 78, and then my daughter was born in 82. And she went to school first at a German-Swiss school in Hong Kong to learn German. I think it's a mistake that I sent her there. But anyway, she learned German. And then with 13, I said to her, look, either you continue school here in Hong Kong, and she was the only child and very protected by the servant and her mother and so forth, or you go to a boarding school in Switzerland. As an only child, she met other children, then they grew up, and now they're a very close group of people. And then she went to study, not very successfully. In my family, my parents would have given me hell if I had studied as badly as she did. And then after that, she started to work finally.